The scent of baby powder and lavender filled my apartment as I fumbled with my keys, balancing grocery bags against my hip. My baby shower was in 2 hours, and I needed everything to be perfect. I'd spent weeks planning it with Zoe, my best friend since college, who'd insisted on handling the final touches while I picked up last-minute supplies. "Zoe," I called out, kicking the door shut behind me. "I got those little cucumber sandwiches you said were essential." No answer. The apartment was eerily quiet for a place that should be in pre-party chaos. I set the bags down on the kitchen counter and noticed something odd. A half-empty bottle of my favorite champagne, the expensive kind Colby and I had been saving for after the baby was born. "Hello?" I called again, my voice bouncing off the walls. That's when I heard it, water sloshing, followed by a soft giggle coming from the master bathroom. I followed the sound, my pregnant belly leading the way, a knot forming in my stomach. The bathroom door was cracked open. I pushed it wider to find Zoe lounging in my bathtub, bubbles up to her chin, my champagne glass dangling from her fingers. "Remy?" She didn't even attempt to cover herself, just smiled lazily. "You're early." I checked my watch. "It's 1:30. The shower starts at 3:01. About that. She took a long sip from her glass. I pushed it back to 5:00. "Thought you could use the extra time to rest, for the baby." Something cold slithered down my spine. "You... what? Without telling me?" "I texted you." She shrugged, water rippling around her shoulders. I pulled out my phone. No texts from Zoe since yesterday when she'd confirmed she'd be here at noon to help set up. "No, you didn't." She examined her manicure, the one I'd paid for as a thank you for helping with the shower. "Must not have gone through. Technology, right?" I stood there, struggling to process what was happening. This wasn't the Zoe I knew, the one who'd held my hair back during first trimester morning sickness, who'd cried with me when we heard the heartbeat. "Where are the decorations?" I asked, noticing the apartment was completely bare of the yellow and green theme we'd planned. No balloons, no banners, no carefully arranged gift table. "In the spare room." She waved vaguely. I was just about to start when I thought, God, I need a bath. "Your tub is so much nicer than mine." The doorbell rang, startling us both. "That's weird," I said. "No one should be here yet." Zoe's expression flickered. Something like annoyance crossed her face before she composed herself. Could be the delivery guy with the cake. I headed for the door, confusion mounting. When I opened it, I found Skylar, another close friend, standing there with an apologetic look and a beautifully wrapped gift. "Hey," she said softly. "I know I'm early for the new time, but I wanted to drop this off before heading to my mom's." "New time?" Skylar's brow furrowed. "Yeah, Zoe texted everyone that it was moved to 5, but then she sent another message about an hour ago saying you weren't feeling well and needed to cancel altogether." She peered past me into the apartment. "Are you okay? You look surprised." The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. "Zoe told everyone the shower was canceled?" "Yeah. She said the doctor put you on bed rest or something?" Skylar's confusion mirrored my own. "Is that not true?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text, then another and another. I glanced down to see messages flooding in. Friends apologizing for the canceled shower, offering to help reschedule, asking how I was feeling. "I need to sit down," I mumbled, backing away from the door. Skylar followed me in, closing the door behind her. "Remy, what's going on?" "I don't know," I whispered, but a terrible suspicion was forming. The shower wasn't canceled. I didn't know anything about a time change. Just then, Zoe emerged from the hallway, wrapped in my robe, her hair turbaned in my towel. She froze when she saw Skylar. "Oh, hey, Sky." Her voice was honey-sweet, but her eyes were sharp. "I thought you couldn't make it." "I was just dropping off my gift," Skylar said slowly, looking between us. "Since Remy wasn't feeling well." "Right," Zoe nodded vigorously. "Poor thing has been so stressed. The doctor said it's not good for the baby." I stared at her, heat rising to my face. "I saw my doctor 2 days ago. I'm perfectly healthy." The silence that followed was thick enough to choke on. "There must be some misunderstanding," Zoe finally said, her smile tightening. My phone buzzed again. Another friend. So sorry about the shower, Remy. Zoe said you were devastated but needed the rest. Let me know when you reschedule. I looked up from my phone to find Zoe watching me, something calculating in her gaze. In that moment, I realized I was looking at a stranger wearing my best friend's face. Why would you do this? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Skylar's phone chimed. She glanced at it, then back at us, her expression hardening. It's from Poppy. She says Zoe told everyone to leave their gifts with her since you wouldn't be up for opening them today. The room started to spin. 7 years of friendship and I'd never seen this coming. Skylar set her gift on the coffee table and crossed her arms. The room felt too small suddenly, air too thick to breathe properly. My baby kicked inside me as if sensing my distress. I think you should leave, I told Zoe, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. Remy, come on. Zoe's laugh was brittle. This is clearly just a miscommunication. A miscommunication? I held up my phone, showing the stream of apologetic texts. You told everyone my doctor put me on bed rest. You told them to give their gifts to you. She rolled her eyes. I was trying to help. You've been so emotional lately. Don't. My hand shot up. Don't you dare blame this on pregnancy hormones. Skylar stepped between us. Zoe, seriously, what the hell? Zoe's face hardened. She unturbaned the towel, letting her damp hair fall around her shoulders. Fine, whatever, I'll go. She stalked toward the bathroom, the belt of my robe trailing behind her. I sank onto the couch, hands shaking. Skylar sat beside me, her warm palm covering mine. I don't understand, I whispered. Why would she do this? I don't know. Skylar squeezed my hand. But we're going to figure it out. 10 minutes later, Zoe emerged fully dressed, makeup perfect, not a hair out of place. She gathered her things without looking at us, dropping my house key on the counter with a theatrical clink. For what it's worth, she said at the door, I really was trying to help. You've been so wrapped up in baby stuff, you haven't noticed how exhausted you look. The door closed behind her before I could respond. Unbelievable, Skylar muttered. I stared at the closed door, mind racing. I need to see her phone. What? Her phone. I need to see exactly what she sent everyone. Skylar pulled out her phone, scrolling through messages. Here's what I got yesterday. Hey everyone. Remy's been super tired, so we're pushing the shower back to 5 p.m. Same place. She scrolled more. Then today, bad news. Doctor's orders. Remy needs rest. Shower canceled. If you already bought gifts, I can collect them for her. My stomach twisted. Can you forward those to me? While Skylar sent the messages, I checked my own phone again. Nothing from Zoe about any changes. I scrolled back through our text history, looking for clues I might have missed. That's when I noticed it, a gap in our conversation from 3 days ago. We'd been discussing the guest list and I'd asked if she'd heard back from Poppy. That's weird, I murmured. What? I'm missing texts. I showed Skylar my phone. See, I asked about Poppy, then nothing until the next day when Zoe confirmed she'd be here at noon today. Skylar frowned. You think she deleted messages from your phone? When would she have had the chance? But even as I asked, I knew the answer. Yesterday. She came over to help me sort baby clothes. I left my phone on the counter when I went to the bathroom. Jesus, Remy. I rubbed my temples, trying to make sense of it all. I need to call Poppy. Poppy answered on the second ring, her voice cautious. Remy? Are you okay? Zoe said. I'm fine, I cut in. No bed rest, no doctor's orders. The shower wasn't canceled. Silence. Then, oh my God, that bitch! Poppy, has Zoe said anything strange to you lately? About me or the baby? A hesitation. Not exactly, but there was something off at brunch last week. You had that doctor's appointment, remember? Zoe kept making these little comments. What kind of comments? Just, I don't know, like how you were using the pregnancy to get attention, how Colby was probably feeling trapped, stuff like that. My chest tightened. She said that? I thought she was joking. You know how she gets sometimes. I did know. Zoe's humor had always had an edge, but I'd never thought it was malicious. Not until now. After hanging up, I sat in stunned silence while Skylar made tea. The apartment felt wrong somehow, violated. I picked up my phone again, scrolling through texts from other friends. Each message of concern twisted the knife deeper. "Here," Skylar handed me a steaming mug. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking I don't know my best friend at all." The doorbell rang again. This time it was Colby, my husband, home early from his business trip. One look at my face, and he dropped his bags, wrapping me in his arms. "What happened?" he asked, looking over my head at Skylar. As we filled him in, his expression darkened. I knew something was off with her lately. "What do you mean?" I pulled back to look at him. He hesitated. "Just comments she's made, questions about us. Last month at that dinner party, she cornered me by the grill and asked if I was ready for how different things would be after the baby. Said you might not bounce back the way I hoped." The betrayal cut deeper. While I'd been planning a nursery with Zoe, she'd been planting seeds of doubt with my husband. "There's more," Skylar said quietly. She held out her phone, showing a group chat I wasn't part of. "Poppy just sent this to me." I took the phone, stomach dropping as I read the messages. Zoe had created the chat 3 weeks ago, adding everyone except me. The most recent message, sent just after she'd left my apartment. "Remy's shower is officially back on, 5 p.m. at my place instead. She's been so stressed about hosting, I offered to take over. Don't tell her, it's a surprise." "She's throwing my shower at her apartment?" I whispered, disbelieving. "Look at the earlier messages," Skylar urged. I scrolled up, reading weeks of subtle undermining. Zoe positioning herself as the concerned friend, managing my difficult pregnancy moods. Suggesting gift ideas that were nothing like my taste. Planning activities I would hate. "She's not just sabotaging your shower," Colby said, his voice tight with anger. "She's replacing it, replacing you." I looked up at him, a cold realization dawning. "This isn't about the shower at all, is it?" Colby made calls while I sat on the couch, staring at the blank wall where decorations should have been hanging. Skylar had gone to intercept guests who might show up at Zoe's apartment, armed with the truth and directions to our place instead. "Most people are still coming," Colby said, setting his phone down. "They're as confused as we are, but they want to be here for you." I nodded mechanically. My hand rested on my belly, feeling our daughter's restless movements. "I still don't understand why she'd do this. Some people can't stand to see others happy." He sat beside me, his weight familiar and comforting. "Especially when it's something they want for themselves." The realization hit me like a physical blow. The promotion. 3 months ago, Zoe and I had both been up for the same senior position at the marketing firm where we worked. I'd gotten it, despite being pregnant. She'd congratulated me with champagne and flowers, insisting she was thrilled for me. "You think she's still angry about that?" Colby asked. "I don't know." But pieces were falling into place. Her increased interest in my pregnancy after the promotion announcement. Her subtle comments about how my maternity leave might affect my new role. Maybe it's not just the job. I grabbed my laptop and pulled up Instagram, scrolling through Zoe's recent posts. There it was, subtle but unmistakable. Photos where she looked radiant while I appeared tired or awkward. Captions emphasizing her freedom and spontaneity contrasted with hints about my new limitations. She'd been crafting a narrative for months. "I need to confront her," I said, closing the laptop. Colby frowned. "Is that a good idea? You're upset and she's clearly not thinking rationally. I'm not going to scream at her in the street." I struggled to stand, my center of gravity still unfamiliar after 7 months of pregnancy. "But I need to understand, and I need to get back what's mine." "What do you mean?" I pointed to the spare room. "The decorations, the guest book, the games, everything we bought for today. It's all still here." She said it was in the spare room. We checked, but the room was empty except for the half-assembled crib Colby had been working on. She must have taken it all to her place, Colby said. My phone buzzed with a text from Skylar. At Z's apartment. Decorations everywhere. Our decorations. The yellow and green ones we picked out. She's telling everyone you asked her to host at the last minute because your AC broke. I showed Colby the message. His jaw tightened. That's it. I grabbed my purse. I'm going over there. Not alone, you're not. 20 minutes later, we pulled up outside Zoe's building. Through her first floor window, I could see yellow and green balloons bobbing against the ceiling. My balloons, my shower, my friends. Wait, Colby said as I reached for the door handle. Let's think this through. What exactly do you want to accomplish here? I paused, considering. I want my friends to know the truth. I want my things back. And I swallowed hard. I want to know why. Why she would betray me like this. He nodded. Okay, but remember, she's already shown she's willing to lie. Be prepared for that. We approached her door and I could hear laughter inside. My hand hovered over the doorbell, suddenly uncertain. What if I was overreacting? What if there was a reasonable explanation? Then I heard Zoe's voice, clear through the door. Poor Remy. She tries so hard, but organizing just isn't her thing. This shower would have been a disaster if I hadn't stepped in. Anger surged through me. I pressed the doorbell. Zoe opened the door, champagne flute in hand. Her smile froze when she saw us. Remy, Colby, what are you doing here? Her voice was too high, too bright. You know exactly why we're here. I stepped forward, forcing her to back up. You stole my baby shower. The room fell silent as our friends turned to stare. I recognized all the decorations. The handmade banner Skylar and I had crafted. The photo display of my pregnancy journey. Even the specialty cupcakes I'd ordered. Don't be ridiculous, Zoe laughed, but her eyes darted nervously. I saved your shower. Your apartment was a mess, and you were clearly overwhelmed. I simply moved everything here to help you. That's not true, and you know it. My voice was steady despite the fury coursing through me. You canceled my shower behind my back, then recreated it here without me. Poppy stepped forward, confusion on her face. Zoe told us you asked her to host because your air conditioning broke. My air conditioning is fine. I never asked her to do anything. Murmurs spread through the room. Zoe's smile became strained. You're hormonal, she said dismissively. You probably don't remember what we discussed. Stop. Colby's voice cut through the tension. Remy has the text messages proving you canceled the shower without her knowledge. You told everyone she was on bed rest. Zoe's face hardened. I was trying to help. You've been so self-absorbed since getting pregnant, and especially since the promotion. Some friend you are, taking a job you knew I wanted more than anything, then expecting me to celebrate while you have everything. The raw bitterness in her voice stunned me into silence. Is that what this is about? The promotion? I asked quietly. Something flickered in her eyes, pain, maybe, or shame, before her expression closed off again. This is about you thinking you're better than everyone else. Little Miss Perfect with her perfect husband and perfect baby and perfect career. Zoe, I reached for her arm, but she jerked away. Don't touch me. She stepped back, bumping into the gift table. A small, wrapped package fell, its tag fluttering open. I recognized Skylar's handwriting immediately, the gift she'd brought to my apartment, the one she'd left on my coffee table. How did this get here? I asked, picking it up. Skylar, who'd been watching from the corner, stepped forward. I left that at your place, with you. All eyes turned to Zoe, whose face had gone pale. I was just trying to make sure everything was perfect, she whispered, but the excuse sounded hollow even to her own ears. In that moment, looking at the woman I'd trusted with my deepest secrets, I realized something that chilled me to the bone. This betrayal went far deeper than a stolen baby shower, and I had no idea how far Zoe was willing to go. The shower dissolved into awkward murmurs and sidelong glances. Some friends made excuses and slipped out. Others stayed, helping me pack up decorations and gifts. Zoe watched from the kitchen, arms crossed, refusing to help or leave her own apartment. You're making a scene over nothing, she called as I carefully folded the handmade banner. This is exactly why I took over. You're too emotional right now to handle anything properly. I ignored her, focusing on breathing evenly. Colby squeezed my shoulder as he passed with a box of supplies. "Don't engage," he whispered. "That's what she wants." When everything was packed, I paused at the door, our remaining friends waiting in the hallway with armfuls of decorations. "I want my house key back," I told Zoe. She rolled her eyes. "I already gave it to you." "You gave me the spare. I want the one you had copied without my permission." Her expression flickered with surprise before settling into defiance. "I don't know what you're talking about." "The one you used to get into our apartment when we weren't home. The one that let you delete texts from my phone and go through my things." For a moment, she looked genuinely confused. Then understanding dawned in her eyes, followed quickly by calculation. She disappeared into her bedroom, returning with a key that she tossed carelessly onto the counter. "Take it. It's not like I need it anymore." Her smile was cold. "Good luck with the baby. Hope she doesn't ruin your perfect life the way you ruined our friendship." I left without responding, the weight of her words following me down the hallway. Back home, we salvaged what we could of the shower. Friends rallied, setting up decorations and organizing games. It wasn't what I'd planned, but their support warmed me in ways I hadn't expected. "You okay?" Skylar asked, finding me alone in the kitchen. "Not really." I leaned against the counter. "I keep thinking about what she said, about me ruining our friendship." "That's classic manipulation. You know that, right? She betrayed you, then tried to make it your fault." "I know, but..." I hesitated. "What if there's some truth to it? What if I did change after the promotion, or after getting pregnant?" Skylar shook her head. "Even if you did change, which is normal, by the way, it doesn't justify what she did. I just can't stop wondering how long this has been going on. How many other things she's done that I don't know about." "Maybe you should ask Rex," Skylar suggested. "They've been dating for what, 6 months? He might know something." I'd almost forgotten about Rex, Zoe's boyfriend. They'd started dating shortly after I announced my pregnancy. "I don't really know him that well," I admitted. "Well, he's friends with Colby from that basketball league, right? Maybe Colby could talk to him." The idea took root. By the time the last guests left that evening, I'd convinced myself it was the right move. Colby was less certain. "I don't want to drag Rex into this," he said as we cleaned up. "It puts him in an awkward position." "I'm not asking you to interrogate him, just feel him out. See if he's noticed anything strange about Zoe's behavior." Colby sighed. "Fine. We're meeting for a game tomorrow anyway." The next morning, I woke to an email notification that made my blood run cold. Someone had accessed my work accounts overnight. Specifically, the client files for the Meridian campaign I'd been leading since my promotion. I called our IT department immediately. Yes, they confirmed my credentials had been used to log in at 2:17 a.m. No, they couldn't tell from which device, but the IP address matched our office network. "Someone was in the office in the middle of the night?" I asked, disbelieving. "Appears so," the IT manager replied. "Want me to lock your account and issue new credentials?" "Yes, please. And can you tell me what files were accessed?" "The Meridian presentation deck and budget spreadsheets." My stomach dropped. The presentation I was scheduled to deliver to the client next week, my first major pitch since the promotion. I hung up and called Colby, who had left early for his basketball game with Rex. "I think Zoe's trying to sabotage my job," I told him, explaining about the account access. "Jesus," he breathed. "That's crossing a line. You need to tell your boss." "And say what? I have no proof it was her." "Who else would it be? You need to protect yourself, Remy." He was right. I showered quickly and headed to the office, despite it being Saturday. If Zoe was planning something with those files, I needed to get ahead of it. The office was quiet when I arrived. I went straight to my desk, noticing immediately that something was off. My desk drawer was slightly ajar, the one where I kept my backup files and notes. As I was checking what might be missing, my phone buzzed with a text from Colby. "Just talked to Rex. You need to hear this. He says Zoe's been obsessed with you for months. Keeps a file of screenshots of your social media, talks about you constantly. He thought it was normal friend stuff until recently." Another text followed. "There's more. He broke up with her last night after your shower. Said she screamed about how you've always had everything she deserved. He's worried about what she might do." I stared at the messages, a chill running through me. This wasn't just jealousy or pettiness. This was something darker. My computer chimed with an email notification. It was from our biggest client, Meridian's CEO. Remy, received the updated presentation you sent last night. Concerned about the budget discrepancies. Can we discuss ASAP? I hadn't sent anything last night. With shaking hands, I opened my sent items folder. There it was, an email to Meridian with an attached presentation sent at 2:43 a.m. from my account. I downloaded the attachment, heart pounding as I opened it. It was my presentation, but with subtle, devastating changes. Budget numbers inflated, timeline promises we couldn't keep, strategy points that contradicted what we'd previously agreed upon, changes that would make me look incompetent, dishonest, or both. My phone rang. Colby again. Rex just called back, he said without preamble. Zoe texted him this morning. By Monday, Remy will be begging me to save her career. I called my boss Marcus immediately. Weekend or not, this couldn't wait. Someone accessed my account last night and sent altered files to Meridian, I explained, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm at the office now. The original files are intact on my computer, but the versions sent to the client have been tampered with. Slow down, Marcus said. What kind of alterations are we talking about? Budget inflation, impossible timelines, strategy contradictions. I swallowed hard. It looks like I'm either incompetent or trying to scam them. Silence stretched across the line. That's serious, Remy. Any idea who would do this? I hesitated. Accusing a colleague without proof was dangerous, especially one as well-liked as Zoe. I have suspicions, but no concrete evidence. Come to my place in an hour, he said finally. Bring everything you have. We need to get ahead of this before the client loses faith completely. After hanging up, I forwarded Rex's text messages to my email for documentation. Then I called IT again, requesting access logs for the building. If Zoe had used her keycard last night, we'd have proof. Colby arrived at the office just as I was gathering my things. You shouldn't be alone right now, he said, pulling me into a hug. Rex is really worried. He said Zoe kept journals about you, pages analyzing your social media posts, notes about your schedule. I pulled back, staring at him. That's disturbing. It gets worse. She apparently told him multiple times that you stole her life, that everything you have should have been hers. A memory surfaced. Zoe, drunk at my engagement party 3 years ago, saying, "You're living my dream, you know that?" I'd thought she meant it as a compliment. I need to talk to Rex directly, I said. He's waiting downstairs. Didn't want to come up in case Zoe showed up. We took the elevator down. Rex was pacing outside, looking haggard. When he saw me, relief washed over his face. Remy, thank God. I've been trying to call Zoe all morning. She's not answering. When did you last hear from her? I asked. After that text about your career, I called her. She sounded off, laughing 1 minute, crying the next, said something about finally balancing the scales. My hand instinctively went to my belly, protective. Rex, I need to know everything. Has she done anything like this before? Obsessed over someone? Tried to harm them? He ran a hand through his hair. Not that I know of. But about a month ago, she got really upset when I mentioned my ex. Started asking all these questions about her. The next day, my ex called, freaking out because someone had sent her old private photos to her boss. And you think Zoe did that? Did. I didn't then. But now... He shook his head. There's something else. She has a storage unit. She took me there once to get some camping gear, and I saw a box with your name on it. I didn't think anything of it at the time. Figured it was just friend stuff. Ice slid down my spine. Where's this storage unit? An hour later, after meeting with Marcus and formulating a plan to contact Meridian first thing Monday, Colby and I stood outside Zoe's storage unit. Rex had given us the code, along with his key to her apartment in case we needed it. Are we sure about this? Colby asked as I punched in the numbers. This feels like an invasion of privacy. She invaded mine first, I reminded him. Besides, we're not breaking in. Rex gave us permission. The lock clicked open. I pulled up the rolling door, revealing a small space packed with furniture and boxes. In the back corner sat a plastic tub labeled Remy in bold black marker. Colby pulled it out while I kept watch. Inside were dozens of items, screenshots of my social media printed and annotated, copies of emails I'd sent the team at work, photos of Colby and me with my face circled, and most disturbingly, a folder containing my medical information, ultrasound images, doctor's appointment summaries, even lab results. "How did she get these?" I whispered, hands shaking as I held up my medical records. "Your doctor's portal," Colby realized. "You gave her your password when you were sick last year, remember? So she could check your test results while you were sleeping." Beneath the papers lay something that made my blood run cold. A small notebook filled with Zoe's handwriting, detailing a plan titled, "Taking Back What's Mine." It outlined everything: sabotaging my baby shower, undermining my confidence, damaging my reputation at work. But the final steps made my heart stop. Step 7. Destroy R's credibility with Meridian. Step 8. Offer to take over account when R is removed. Step 9. Suggest R is unstable due to pregnancy hormones. Step 10. Comfort C when R falls apart. Colby read over my shoulder, his face paling. "She's planning to go after me next, after you lose your job." The last entry, dated yesterday, simply read, "R confronted me at the shower. Accelerating timeline. C seems concerned about her. Perfect opening. Will implement final phase tomorrow night at the dinner." "What dinner?" I looked at Colby. His expression shifted from confusion to realization. "The team dinner. For the Meridian account. It's tomorrow night at Vela. Marcus scheduled it last week." I wasn't invited. "Yes, you were. I saw the email." He pulled out his phone, scrolling through messages. "Here, Marcus sent it Tuesday. You, me, Marcus, the Meridian executives." I shook my head. I never got that email. We looked at each other, understanding dawning simultaneously. "She's intercepting your work emails too," Colby said quietly. I sank to the floor, the full weight of Zoe's betrayal crushing me. This wasn't just about jealousy or a stolen promotion. This was methodical, calculated destruction of my life. "She's not going to stop," I whispered, clutching the notebook, "and now we know exactly what she's planning next." Colby helped me to my feet, determination hardening his features. "Then we stop her first." As we closed the storage unit, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Found something interesting in your husband's phone. Want to see? Might change how you feel about your perfect marriage." Attached was a photo of Colby and Zoe, heads close together, her hand on his arm. It looked intimate, conspiratorial. The timestamp was from yesterday, during my baby shower. I stared at the photo, my throat tightening. Without a word, I handed the phone to Colby. "What the hell?" He squinted at the image. "This was when I went to get your jacket from the bedroom. She followed me, asking if you were really okay." His eyes met mine, searching. "Remy, you don't think—" "I don't know what to think anymore." The words came out sharper than intended. "Every time I think I understand how far this goes, there's another layer." The drive home passed in tense silence. My mind raced through possibilities. Was Colby hiding something? Was this just another of Zoe's manipulations? The seed of doubt had been planted, and I hated how easily it took root. At home, Colby tried to pull me into his arms, but I stepped back. "I need to ask you something," I said, forcing myself to meet his eyes. "And I need the absolute truth. Anything. Has there ever been anything between you and Zoe? Even something small that might have given her the wrong idea?" His face registered shock, then hurt. "No, never, not even close." "She's fixated on you, on us, on our life together." My voice cracked. "That has to come from somewhere." Colby ran a hand through his hair. "The only interaction I've had with her outside of group settings was when she called me after you got the promotion. She said she was worried about you working too hard during pregnancy. Suggested I talk to you about stepping back. You never told me that." "Because I shut it down immediately. Told her you were more than capable of managing your own career and pregnancy." He hesitated. I didn't think it was worth mentioning. I wanted to believe him. Everything in our 7 years together told me I could, but Zoe had been my friend for just as long, and look how wrong I'd been about her. I need some air, I said, grabbing my keys. Remy, please, don't leave like this. I'm not leaving. I just need to think. Outside, I sat on our front steps, breathing in the cool evening air. My phone buzzed with another text from the unknown number. He's lying. Ask him about the hotel bar 3 months ago. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Engaging would only feed into whatever game Zoe was playing, but not knowing would eat at me. Before I could decide, another text arrived. This one from Skylar. Just got a strange call from Zoe asking about your marriage, said Colby, confided in her about problems between you two. I told her she was full of shit, but thought you should know. That settled it. I went back inside to find Colby sitting on the couch, head in his hands. She's trying to divide us, I said, showing him Skylar's text. That's her next move. Relief washed over his face. You believe me? I believe in us. I sat beside him. And I'm done letting her manipulate me. He pulled me close. What do we do now? We fight back, but not her way. I pulled out the notebook we'd found. We use her own plan against her. Sunday morning, I called Marcus again. I know who's behind the email, I told him. It's Zoe. I have evidence. A notebook detailing her plans to sabotage me and take over the Meridian account. Silence, then a heavy sigh. That's hard to believe, Remy. Zoe's been with the company for years. So have I. And I can prove it. She's planning something at the dinner tonight. Dinner? At Vela, with the Meridian executives. Another pause. There is no dinner at Vela tonight. We're meeting the Meridian team tomorrow morning at their offices. My suspicions confirmed. I explained everything. The intercepted emails, the altered presentation, the notebook. By the end, Marcus was furious. Bring everything to my office in an hour, he said. And Remy? Be careful. This level of obsession is dangerous. After hanging up, I called Poppy, who'd been uncharacteristically quiet since the shower disaster. I've been meaning to call you, she said, her voice small. There's something you should know. About Zoe? Yes, she asked me to help her, with your shower at first. Said you were overwhelmed and would appreciate us taking over. Poppy's voice trembled. But then she started saying weird things about how you didn't deserve your life, how she should have your job, your husband. Why didn't you tell me? I thought she was just venting. Then at the shower, when I saw how shocked you were... She paused. After everyone left, she asked me to do something else. Something worse. My pulse quickened. What? She wanted me to tell people at work that you'd been making mistakes. That pregnancy was affecting your performance. Poppy's voice dropped to a whisper. She offered to pay me, Remy. Said it would help us both get what we deserve. And what did you say? I told her she needed help. She laughed and said she was just testing my loyalty. Poppy hesitated. There's something else. She mentioned having access to your email, your medical records. Said she knew things about you that even Colby didn't know. After promising Poppy I didn't blame her, I hung up and turned to Colby. We need to change all our passwords now. While Colby handled our personal accounts, I focused on work emails and medical portals. As I was changing my doctor's portal password, I noticed something chilling. Someone had accessed my records yesterday, viewing the results of my latest glucose test. A test that had come back with concerning numbers, requiring follow-up. My phone buzzed with a text from the unknown number. Zoe, I was certain. Poor baby. Gestational diabetes is so stressful. Hope nothing happens to make your condition worse. Stress is so dangerous during pregnancy. She knew. Somehow she knew about my test results before I did. Another text followed. Maybe we should discuss this in person. I'll be at Vela at 7. Come alone. Or Colby gets the real photos from the hotel bar, the ones where he wasn't just talking. You're not going, Colby said firmly after I showed him the texts. It's a trap. Of course it's a trap. I paced our living room, one hand pressed against my lower back where the baby was kicking furiously. But what choice do I have? She's threatening to release something that could destroy us. Photos that don't exist. I've never been alone with her in a hotel bar or anywhere else. I stopped pacing. Then why is she so confident? Why risk everything on a bluff? Colby's expression shifted. The conference in Chicago, 3 months ago. What about it? The team dinner was at a hotel restaurant. Zoe was there, along with Marcus and the others. He ran a hand through his hair. I had a drink with everyone at the bar before dinner. She sat next to me, kept ordering rounds. My stomach tightened. And nothing happened. But she was taking pictures all night. Said she was documenting the team bonding for the company newsletter. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through photos. Here, Marcus sent me these afterward. The images showed a typical work gathering, colleagues laughing, raising glasses. In one, Colby sat at the bar with Zoe beside him, her body angled toward his, her hand resting casually on his arm as she leaned in to say something. Nothing inappropriate, but with the right cropping. She could make it look like something it wasn't, I realized. Exactly. And if she's been planning this for months, I sank onto the couch. She might have staged more interactions like that, created evidence to use later. Colby sat beside me, taking my hands. Which is why you can't meet her alone. We need to be smarter than that. My mind raced through options. Going to the police seemed premature. What crime could we prove? Telling Marcus wasn't enough. We needed concrete evidence of Zoe's plans. And ignoring her invitation would only escalate her behavior. What if we turned her trap into our trap? I said slowly. Vela was crowded for a Sunday night, its dim lighting and intimate booths perfect for what I needed. I spotted Zoe immediately, sitting at a corner table, her back to the wall so she could watch the entrance. She'd dressed carefully, hair sleek, makeup flawless, wearing a dress I'd once complimented. She smiled when she saw me, a predator's smile that didn't reach her eyes. You came alone, smart. She gestured to the chair across from her. Sit. You look tired. I lowered myself into the seat, acutely aware of the recording app running on my phone in my pocket. Let's skip the small talk, Zoe. What do you want? She sipped her wine, studying me over the rim of her glass. Straight to business. That's what I've always admired about you, Remy. So focused, so driven. Her smile tightened. So oblivious. To what? To the fact that you've been living my life. She set down her glass with precision. The promotion was mine. I had seniority, better numbers, stronger client relationships, but you had Marcus wrapped around your finger. That's not true. Then there's Colby. Her eyes gleamed. Did you know he flirted with me first? At that industry party where you met. He approached me, bought me a drink. Then you walked in with your perfect hair and perfect laugh, and suddenly I was invisible. I kept my expression neutral, though my heart hammered. That was 7 years ago, Zoe. Even if that were true, which I doubt, why would it matter now? Because it's always been the same story. Her voice rose slightly before she controlled it. You swoop in and take what should be mine. My job, my man, even this baby. She gestured to my stomach with disgust. You knew I was trying to get pregnant with Rex. But you had to be first with that too. The revelation stunned me. I had no idea you were trying for a baby. Of course you didn't. You never ask about my life. It's always about you. She leaned forward. But that's changing now. How? Her smile returned, cold and calculated. By this time tomorrow, your perfect life will be in shambles. Marcus already thinks you're unstable, pregnancy hormones affecting your judgment. The altered presentation was just the beginning. Tomorrow morning, the Meridian executives will receive evidence that you've been inflating numbers for months. They won't believe it. They will when it comes from your email account. And when Colby receives certain photos that suggest his pregnant wife isn't as devoted as she seems. She pulled out her phone. I've become quite skilled with Photoshop. My hands clenched under the table. So that's your plan? Frame me for fraud and destroy my marriage with fake photos? It's poetic, don't you think? You lose everything, just like I did. She took another sip of wine. Unless what? You resign from Meridian. Recommend me as your replacement. Tell everyone you need to focus on your pregnancy complications. Her eyes flicked to my stomach. Those glucose numbers were concerning, weren't they? The casual mention of my private medical information sent ice through my veins. And if I do this, you'll leave my family alone? I might even help Colby through his disappointment when his perfect wife falls apart. Her smile turned smug. He deserves someone stronger, someone who understands him. I'd heard enough. I reached into my pocket, pressing the button to stop the recording. Thank you for being so thorough, Zoe. That was exactly what we needed. Confusion flickered across her face. What? I stood carefully, one hand supporting my belly. You should know that Colby is currently with Marcus and the head of IT, reviewing server logs that show you accessing my accounts. Rex is giving a statement about your storage unit full of my personal information, and this entire conversation has been recorded. Her face drained of color. You're lying. I learned from the best. I nodded toward the bar, where Skylar sat watching us, her phone visibly recording. Behind Zoe, Poppy emerged from the restroom hallway, phone also in hand. You think anyone will believe you? Zoe hissed, panic edging into her voice. It's your word against mine. Actually, it's your words against you. I pulled out my phone, showing her the recording app. You just confessed to corporate espionage, harassment, and blackmail, not to mention admitted to accessing my private medical records, which is a federal offense. She lunged for my phone, but I stepped back, bumping into someone solid. Colby stood behind me, his hand steadying my shoulder. It's over, Zoe, he said quietly. Her eyes darted between us, then to the exits where Marcus now stood with 2 security guards. The mask of confidence crumbled, revealing something raw and desperate beneath. You don't understand, she whispered, tears welling. I just wanted what you had, what I deserved. For a moment, looking at the woman who had once been my closest friend, I felt a flicker of pity. Then I remembered the notebook, the meticulous plans to destroy everything I loved. What you deserve, I said softly, is to face the consequences of your actions, just like the rest of us. Security escorted Zoe out while Marcus assured me the company would handle everything legally. In the parking lot, I watched her being led to a police car, her shoulders hunched, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. You don't have to watch this, Colby said, his arm around my waist. Yes, I do. I couldn't look away as the officers helped her into the back seat. Just before the door closed, she looked up, her eyes meeting mine across the distance. No anger remained, just a hollow emptiness that chilled me more than her rage ever had. The drive home passed in exhausted silence. Adrenaline had drained from my system, leaving bone-deep fatigue in its wake. I leaned my head against the window, watching streetlights blur past. What happens now? Colby asked as we pulled into our driveway. I sighed. The company presses charges for corporate espionage. I file for a restraining order. We change our locks, our passwords, our routines. I meant with us. I turned to look at him, really look at him, for the first time since this nightmare began. The worry lines around his eyes had deepened. What do you mean? You doubted me today, Remy. For a moment, you thought I might have betrayed you with her. The hurt in his voice made my chest ache. I know. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just tell me how we move forward from here. I didn't have an answer then. We went to bed in silence, backs turned to each other, a careful distance between us. Morning light filtered through the blinds as I padded into the kitchen, finding Colby already there, coffee mug in hand. He'd slept on the couch. Marcus called, he said without preamble. Zoe's been formally charged. They found more evidence at her apartment. Recordings of your phone calls, screenshots of private messages. I nodded, unsurprised. Did they find anything about you? The hotel photos she threatened me with? Nothing. Like I said, they never existed. His voice was carefully neutral. The Meridian meeting's been rescheduled for Wednesday. Marcus wants you to take a few days off. I don't need days off. I need normality. Colby set down his mug. Nothing about this situation is normal, Remy. I know that. The words came out sharper than intended. I took a breath. I'm sorry. I don't know how to process any of this. Neither do I. He hesitated. Rex called this morning. He's been going through Zoe's things, trying to understand. He found something you should see. He handed me a worn leather journal, different from the notebook we'd found in the storage unit. He said this goes back years, before you and I even met. I opened it carefully. The earliest entry was dated 9 years ago when Zoe and I first became friends. Page after page detailed her growing obsession, not just with me, but with the idea of me, the life she thought I had, the person she believed I was. Remy got the Anderson account today. Everyone acts like it's such a big deal, but she just got lucky. That should have been my account, my success. She doesn't even appreciate it. Remy's dating some finance guy now. She always gets the good ones, always the center of attention, always the one everyone wants to be around. Sometimes I imagine what it would be like to be Remy, to have everyone love me without trying, to have everything come so easily. The entries grew darker over time, her envy curdling into something more sinister, but it was the final page that made my blood run cold. I've tried to be like her. I've tried to hate her. Nothing works. As long as she exists, I'll always be second best. The only solution is to become her, take her place. It's the only way. I closed the journal, hands trembling. She wasn't just jealous. She wanted to replace me. Completely. Colby nodded. Rex thinks she needs serious psychiatric help. He's working with her family to make sure she gets it. Good. I set the journal aside. That's good. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of everything between us. I keep thinking about what she said, I finally admitted. About me taking what should have been hers. What if there's some truth to it? What if I've been blind to my own privilege, my own luck? Colby considered this. Maybe there is some truth there. We all have blind spots. But her response, trying to destroy you rather than talk to you, that's on her, not you. I know. I met his eyes. But it's made me think about how I move through the world, how I treat people. I don't want to be oblivious to others' pain. That's growth, Remy. Taking something valuable even from this nightmare. I reached for his hand across the table. I'm sorry I doubted you, even for a moment. I understand why you did. His fingers intertwined with mine. Trust is fragile. We're both learning that. So where do we go from here? He squeezed my hand. Forward, together, more aware of what we have and how quickly it can be threatened. The baby kicked then, a strong movement that made me gasp. Colby's hand moved to my belly, his face softening as he felt our daughter's movements. She's going to be strong, he said, like her mother. I covered his hand with mine. I don't feel strong. I feel changed. Changed how? I considered the question carefully. I used to think I knew people, could read them. Now I realize how much we never see, the hidden resentments, the secret pains. Everyone's fighting battles we know nothing about. Even the people closest to us, Colby agreed, especially them. I looked down at our joined hands. But I refuse to let this make me suspicious of everyone. That's no way to live. So what's the alternative? The answer came with surprising clarity. Boundaries, clearer ones, and honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. I met his gaze. Starting with us. He nodded slowly. I can work with that. Outside, rain began to fall, a gentle patter against the windows. The world continued, as it always did. In the aftermath of betrayal, we were different, more cautious perhaps, but also more aware. Of each other, of ourselves, of the fragile, precious thing we'd almost lost. I choose trust, I said softly, even knowing how badly it can hurt when broken. Colby's eyes held mine, understanding passing between us. That, he said, is the bravest thing I've ever heard.